A TikTok ban didn't actually need to happen. That's what we're learning from an explosive new report from the Washington Post, which uncovered an offer that TikTok pitched to the Biden administration. In 2022, TikTok told the Biden administration that it would give the US government a tremendous amount of control over the app in order to avoid a ban or forced divestiture. Despite previously indicating that they were willing to reach a compromise, the Biden administration ended its communications with the company and pursued a ban. We'll explain why that happened momentarily. But first, let's see all the concessions that TikTok was willing to offer the administration. The company offered to let federal officials pick its US operations board of directors, give the government veto power over each new hire, pay an American company that contracts with the Defense Department to monitor its source code, and give federal officials a kill switch that would shut down the app in the United States if they felt it remained a threat. A Georgetown University law professor who researches international tech policy told the Washington Post, the government essentially threw up its hands at the possibility of any kind of regulation or cybersecurity measure. TikTok proposed this incredible array of protections, but none of it mattered. What's even more bizarre is that the government gave TikTok good reason to believe it was interested in a compromise. The plan was drafted over months of meetings in consultation with the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States officials, who told TikTok that they were close to a final agreement, according to two people familiar with the negotiations who spoke on the condition of anonymity. But shortly after TikTok submitted the proposal in August of 2022, CFIUS, without explanation, stopped engaging. TikTok and ByteDance wrote in their legal petition to the appeals court, the companies said they repeatedly asked why discussions had ended and how they might be restarted, but they did not receive a substantive response. A senior Biden administration official told the Washington Post in a statement that TikTok's offer was insufficient to address the serious national security risks presented, but gave no explanation as to why. In fact, while the government has offered some classified briefings for lawmakers, it hasn't publicly shared any evidence showing the Chinese government has exercised influence over the app. TikTok and its owner ByteDance have sued the government over the ban, arguing that it represents a First Amendment violation. And these comments from Senator Romney certainly help their case. Take a look.
Some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok broadcasts. So I'd note that's of real interest, and the president will get the chance to make action in that regard. Typically, the Israelis are good at PR. What's happened here? How have they and we been so ineffective at communicating the realities there and our point of view?
And of course, it should be noted that the Biden administration and the Biden campaign post regularly on TikTok. Cenk, what do you make of this report that the government just ghosted?
Yeah, so that tells you all you need to know. We're gonna tell you why they actually did it, but we can now eliminate that they were worried about national security concerns. They were not. So you can't do a better offer than that. I run a tech company in a sense, this digital media company, and I mean, you get to pick the board and you control the source code. That's it. That's all the power. There's nothing else. And then, but they threw it on top. You can veto any hire, and you have a kill switch to the entire platform. No, you can't. I can't even think of anything else they could offer. So they gave the government the ability to shut it down, control it, pick, etc. And the government's like, no, we're not actually worried about national security. We were just lying. So we're just going to ignore your offer that would clearly solve the problem. So look, that's going to create a giant legal issue for them, because the government shutting down TikTok is about as large a First Amendment violation as you could possibly find. That's going to go to court, and when it goes to court, the legal standard is, did the government have an alternative that wouldn't be a First Amendment violation that could have addressed their real concern? TikTok's going to come in with this offer that they gave back in 22, and the government's going to have no answer at all. So, I mean, in a sense, it's good. It was savvy of TikTok to make this offer, and apparently honest, right? And when the government, says no, it sounds inconceivable that they could lose that case, that TikTok could lose that case. So that makes it very, very hard to shut down TikTok, because eventually it'll go to the courts since it's wildly unconstitutional. So what's the real reason they're shutting it down? Guys, there's always many reasons. Don't let people say, oh yeah, there's only one, etc., right? So we showed you that Romney clip. That is among the reasons. But remember, Romney's speaking in 24, and the government turned down the offer in 22, and the Gaza hadn't even happened yet. Now they voted in 24, and Romney's saying that was why it was so easy, among the reasons why it was so easy to pass. But there's a bigger list, so let me show you that. So the number one reason out of all these reasons is American private equity companies want to buy it. And right now it has about a 25% discount because of all of its legal issues. So the minute an American company buys it, it goes up 25%, which is literally billions and billions of dollars. And those are donors to both parties. So they're trying to force a sale so they can make billions off of it. The second reason is that young influencers that are on TikTok are too progressive. They've been complaining about this for all this time. And again, Republicans and Democrats agree, because progressives are a pain in the Democratic Party's ass. They keep primarying Democratic incumbents. So when Republicans go, I don't like young progressives, you want to shut them down? Democrats are like, oh, thank God, I thought you'd never ask, right? And then there's other social media platforms who want to shut it down, like Facebook. We shared that story with you on an earlier episode, where Facebook is paying PR agents to take controversies that started on Facebook and pretend that they started on TikTok. It's unbelievable. And so it's very brazen. And then finally, the young influencers that don't support Israel, and that's the point that Romney's making. How do we shut these guys up? Well, why don't we just ban the platform? Which, by the way, of course isn't gonna work. They're just gonna go to a different platform.
Ridiculous, right? But let me ask you, Cenk, because you passed over the data collection thing quickly, as though it doesn't matter, and I don't know, so I'm asking you. I thought that it was a legitimate concern that the data collection on Americans is something that the Chinese, because the government own everything, that ByteDance is vulnerable on. That is to say that they are collecting this, and this does represent a national security vulnerability.
So in the beginning, I believe that, and you can go back to old videos where I say, well, look, it might be a national security concern, but then there's also these factors, etc., right? Now I don't believe it's a concern at all. Why? So for two reasons. So number one, TikTok has already done a bunch of things to ameliorate it. They already gave over the data servers to Oracle, which bases them in Texas.
Okay.
So China does not have access to it. Second of all, China doesn't own ByteDance. The original founders are Chinese citizens, and they own 20% of ByteDance. Actually, 15% is owned by a Trump donor. That's why Trump turned around and said, don't ban it, because that guy gave him, Yaz is his name, I call him Yaz Queen, or at least that's what Trump calls him, okay? And so he said, all right, I give you a couple of $1 million, and Trump's like, oh great, I don't want TikTok banned, right? So these are the donor games that are being played. So now, could those Chinese citizens who were the founders originally have gotten maybe the information and the data to the Chinese? Originally that might have been possible, but now a majority of their board is already American. Their data is already in Texas, not in China. And then on top of that, you see this offer in 22 where they say, well, we just give you everything.
Sure.
We give you complete control. And America goes, we were just kidding. Okay.
Well, that's actually why I asked the data question, because they did volunteer so much that it makes me think, it is kind of curious. I mean, you've outlined those reasons that they might have to push back on it, but I just thought that data collection was real. But you're saying, no, most of that data has now moved to this country and it's no longer an issue.
And yes, and they said, and you can control all of the data.
Right.
And the government said, no. So then obviously you're not concerned about national security.
That was just, it was a total smokescreen for what the US and US tech companies already do. I just finished Byron Tao's Means of Control about how bad our data security is, our personal data in the marketplace is in this country. If any Chinese official wanted data on any of us, they could get it immediately. They could probably buy it pretty quickly. It is so easy for anybody to go out there, buy a data set or a couple data sets, layer it together, identify who exactly each person is in this, not really anonymous, but they call it anonymous data. It's all of these metadata points that layering allows you to identify who it is. So if anyone in China wanted to get information on people using TikTok, they could. And they could do it through totally legal means in the US, thanks to members of Congress who are voting to ban TikTok. It is rooted in a new Cold War, xenophobic paranoia that we should not be encouraging by any means. And on this point, all of these hypocrites, even on the liberal side, Cory Booker, for example. I was in DC a couple weeks ago for a political influencer conference. I was working on it, I wasn't invited as an influencer. But just to be clear, I'm not trying to do my own work. And he's in there, and it's a room full of TikTokers. Like literally some of the biggest progressive and liberal TikTokers in the country were all in the same room. And Cory Booker's up there speaking, oh yeah, I love social media. And he's like, I'm gonna hang around and I'm gonna take pictures with you, we'll all hang out. Immediately, and for the next 45 minutes, he got screamed at by these people. Why are you here? You voted to ban this app. And I don't think he registered the risk. And the room he was walking into, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, you made so many good points that I got to pick up on there. First of all, if the American private equity companies buy it, what's to stop them from selling our data? And it's so funny, they're like, oh, the rich guys on Wall Street have your data now, so it's safe. How about Facebook? How about Google? How about Apple? They already have our data. What are they doing with it? I don't know. Who cares? They're not TikTok. And so I should have added one more thing to that list that I read you guys of possible reasons, and it's something that Jordan pointed out: anti-Chinese propaganda. So look, the Chinese government isn't any saints, but TikTok is not owned by the Chinese government, and they offered all the data control to the US government. But the reason why the Democrats and Republicans are still playing is, oh, China, boo. Okay, young progressives, stop talking, right? So that's another factor. And then lastly, I love that you pointed out the hypocrisy. I mean, look at Biden. That is so, guys, if you are on TikTok, you should troll the living hell out of Biden on his TikTok channel. Okay, in fact, I'm gonna do a campaign on TikTok to troll Biden because he's like, hey, cool, hey kids, I'm so cool, I'm on TikTok now. Oh, by the way, I also banned it. You can't ban it and then go on it. That's insane. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.